This video is going to help you to learn how to connect more to your higher self. Before we get started, I just want to let you know I'm doing free breakthrough calls. There's a link pinned in the comments section below. So what these these are 30-minute calls where we get on Zoom and I help you a bit. We go over your vision for your life, so what it is that you're looking to create and manifest. And then we get into the things that have been coming up that are just blocking you, that are in your way. And then I can help you troubleshoot and help you find some solutions so that you can get on your path to the life that you really want. So, connecting with your higher self, this is one of the most, if not the most important thing anybody can do, because ultimately only we, or the higher part of we, has the answer for what's best for us. It's good to listen to people as far as because God speaks through other people, as far as guidance or answers for certain things. But ultimately, it's us. And in a minute, I'm going to be giving you a few things that you can do. But first, I want to break down a little bit what is a higher self? I mean, maybe you know, maybe you don't. But if you don't, I'm just going to go over it real quick. So, to me, the higher self is just the higher vibrational version of you. So whatever your belief is, there's some aspect of you or creation that's greater than the egoic finite self. And you can connect to that and ask it for wisdom and direction. Some people believe in spirit guides, they believe in angels. Some people don't. Some people believe in the subconscious mind. We all have a subconscious mind. To me, it's all relevant and it's all kind of the same thing ultimately. Ultimately, we're one consciousness experiencing ourselves subjectively. It's experiencing ourselves in these broken up different sort of aspects. And we have our own individuation. We have many, many levels of our individuation. It's not just as a human and then we're all just all the oneness. I believe you can go up rungs of a ladder where you're more and more and more connected to unity and divinity, but you still have your own differentiation. But ultimately, at the very top, we all connect. So it's a frequency scale, essentially. And the human, most of us, resonate and reverberate with lots of trauma, lots of fear, and lots of separation. And we spend our lives in that state of consciousness. So to connect to your higher self, you want to bring yourself up the frequency scale to the frequency of the higher version of you to get the answers that you want. It's like Albert Einstein said, you can't solve a problem with the same level of intelligence that created it. Well, if we're in a lot of fear and scarcity and panic, and we're looking around either to ourselves and our intuition in the fear or to other people for the answers, you're just going around in that same level of consciousness and sometimes an even lower level of consciousness. So in order to connect to your higher self, you have to sort of ascend up the frequency scale at least a little bit. So how do you do that? So the first thing that's really required for anything is belief and permission. So our whole reality is based around what we believe it to be. We see what we believe we're going to see. We experience things filtered through our beliefs. There's no real objective reality. I mean, yeah, there is. Everybody can look at a tree and be like, that's a tree. But every single person has their own association with the tree. And even calling it a tree is just kind of an agreement. So you have to have some level of faith and belief that there's something greater than yourself. So that's the first step. Can you find it within you to think there's just a little more than just your fearful brain? There's just a little more to the universe and the cosmos than your finite self. As soon as you don't have to be completely free of doubt. You just have to have the belief too. And again, give yourself permission. There's something enormous about giving ourselves permission because Ultimately, we live in a free will reality where everything comes down to our choice. But in order to choose what we want to choose, we have to grant ourselves the ability to choose. That's part of our choice. We're choosing to be in power in our lives. And we're responsible only for us. So when we give ourselves permission to do what we want to do, to connect with the way we want to connect, that's what opens the door to the possibility. And what's the next thing that you can do? Well, to connect to your higher self, you want to be in as much quiet and peace and joy as possible. I know that's not always easy because we live in such a scattered world. We're constantly bombarded with fear, distractions, traumas. It's not terribly easy to do that, but there are steps you can take. One of them might be turning off the news. You don't need to know what's going on out there all the time, particularly because you don't even know if it's freaking true anyway. Generally, it's not. So, and all it really is designed to do is throw you into fear. Like, I've always wondered, how come the news doesn't just constantly report like amazing breakthrough stories that people have and triumphs and successes? Because if it did that, it would put us all in a much higher vibrational positive space, and the whole world would shift in that way. Because ultimately, our perception is being controlled and we're being absorbed into the fear, and then our whole lives are a reflection of that. So you want to disconnect from the outside influences. Maybe you get off social media for a while, maybe you don't watch the news for a while, and come into as much of a quiet, calm space as possible. The next thing you can do is really make the choice to love your body. Now, the reason this is important is because this is our temple, it's our house right now. It's our vessel, and it speaks to us. It gives us messages, but it gives us messages based on the state that we're in mentally and based on our ability to receive the messages. It may be trying to give you a positive message, but if your mind is scattered and running around in terror and trauma, you won't hear it. And we tend to separate from our body and see our body as kind of a hindrance, because it can be. It's like we're responsible for this thing every day, and if we don't feed it and take care of it, we die. That's where all the fear comes from. Really, it's survival panic. It's, I won't be able to make enough money, or I'm going to be attacked, or I'm going to lose my house, or I'm going to starve to death. It's all survival based fear. And the way to reverse that is to begin to give love to the vessel. And when you do that, you bring yourself into a higher frequency, and you also calm down your nervous system. And when you calm down your nervous system, you're able to hear messages from the higher frequency you better. So make the choice to just love and appreciate your body. Even just doing that, even just taking 5 minutes a day to like send love to it, will help you calm down immensely. And that will open the door for whatever messages and guidance you need to hear. The next thing you can do to connect to your higher self is set the intention. Everything is around belief and intention and permission. So if you just set the intention to connect to it, you can do it however you want. Some people visualize it. Some people call it forth. Some people just know they're connecting to it. There's no right way to do it. It's just about the intention. So intend to connect to your higher self, intend to feel your higher self, and intend for you to get whatever guidance and messages that you need. And you always, it helps, again, if you do this in a meditative space or a quiet space, or take an hour in the morning or an hour at night to just kind of wind down and bring yourself into the most peaceful space you can. Set the intention and then just see what comes to you. Just allow it to come to you. When we force with our mind, that's from fear. And we don't really get accurate information then because we're in fear and force. It's about allowing. The last thing I would say is use your imagination. Imagination is such an important part of who we are. Your imagination is your greatest superpower. we just tend to get like our imagination either gets hijacked or we get stuck in like dissociative fantasy, meaning we just kind of run around and daydream about all the things we want to do, which is fine, but we don't then like utilize it or bring it into action or even corral the imagination. Begin to imagine who you would be if you were more connected to your higher self. What would that feel like? See, because when you do that, you're opening up the potential and the possibility for those things to become real for you. It all comes down to, like I said, belief, intention, and then imagining what that would be like and trusting it. So, who would the version of you that's guided by your higher self be? What would you feel like? What would it feel like to be in tune, to be more peaceful, to be more in love in each moment? Write out who you want to be. What are the traits of your best self? What does that look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? What do you do? How do you respond to situations? Because when you do that, it's not just a woo-woo thing. You're using your imagination to create new habits and new behaviors, and you'll begin to like draw in the answers and the action steps to put them into practice and to apply them. And you'll also be vibrationally raising your frequency so that you connect more to the guidance that will bring you into that version of yourself. So imagine that you are totally in tune. Imagine that you are the best version of you. And know, we tend to have doubt, like, oh, this isn't going to work. It does work. It doesn't work because we doubt it. Now, it's okay to doubt it, because if you doubt it and then you're like, oh no, I'm doubting it, then you go into conflict frequency. The way out of anything is to accept it and allow it. Be like, oh, it's okay that I'm doubting, but also know that it's just the doubt that's in the way. It's all possible. Let me know how this goes. I have a free energy clearing if you'd like in the description below. Other than that, thank you very much. Let me know if you have any questions, any revelations, any breakthroughs, and I look forward to seeing you next time, and peace.